just to say, I've got a bigger notice to share this morning, and this will take a wee bit longer, and I'm feeling a bit nervous, so bear with. So, as you know, over the last couple of years, we've really taken time to seek God together as leaders and to just hear His voice for where He's heading in this next season, where He's leading us to. And we've shared our vision of SEED, which is Safe, Encounter, Extend, Disciple. And we've been working to put this into practice. And we have little booklets called Lives Made New if you want to know more about that, if you missed that. But also, as part of that, we also added the value of legacy to our existing values of connection, community, and compassion. And we believe that's what our faith is built on, people who have gone before us. And what we want to do is leave a legacy of faith for the next generations. So we started Carrick Vineyard nearly 15 years ago, which is mad. But we've always along the way deliberately invested in our children and young people because we want to share Jesus with them. We want the next generation to follow Him wholeheartedly. And over the last wee while, this phrase, from generation to generation, has just been going round and round in my head. And it's also declared in Scripture in Psalm 78, verse 4. We will tell the next generation the praiseworthy deeds of the Lord and His power and the wonders He has done. And last week, if you were here, it was amazing because we got to baptize 4 people in our church family. So there was Noah in P7, Olivia from our youth group, and Emma as a mum of children in our church. And I was just sitting in the front row in bits as usual, crying because it was so amazing to hear their stories and what they shared. And what they shared was how being in this church had nurtured them to get to a place where they wanted to declare their faith in Jesus. And I really loved how Emma described a simple invitation to an event. She came to breakfast with Santa for Christmas with her family. And then a friend from our church invited her. Then a kids leader, Lynn, just chatted to her and said, how are you? Do you go to church? You're so welcome to come to ours. And through that, she started coming along with her family, through being here on a Sunday, through kids ministry, through being part of wonderful life groups. Her family and kids have been learning and growing and have become part of our Carrick Vineyard family. And Noah and the girls shared too the key part that our kids groups and our youth group have been part of their story. So you can see the thing from generation to generation. God is totally at work in these age groups, and we reap the benefits of years of investment into our children who are now youth and young adults, which is incredible. And we want to keep fostering and supporting and nurturing that. We want to equip these little ones to follow Jesus. But as well, we want to reach out more. We want to reach out to families outside of our church. And we've just been hearing so much all over the place about how God is moving in the younger generation. If you want to be American about it, Gen Z. But there's such an openness to faith in church, and it's not just that generation. We were talking this week, and someone my age, older, was sharing how their friends were just asking them questions about God. God is moving, and we want to be part of what He's doing across all the generations. So we have really been thinking about how we do that. And in this last year, we've taken loads of time to consider the future of staffing in our church. And we really believe for our church to be a strong, healthy family and also to be able to grow and reach out, we need more people on team than we currently have at the moment. And we learnt a lot from the great things that Kate brought in her role, and we took some time to talk to our leadership team of Philip and Mark, Brian and Emma about what God is doing and what we long to see Him do to move forwards. And we've talked a lot to our board, Laura, Gareth, Steve and Dina, and after months of prayer and consideration, we've had coaching. Andy Hickford, our dear friend who's come and spoken here before, helped us. So what we would love to do and what I want to share is we'd love to begin the process of recruiting a new associate pastor for our church. So everyone's looking so serious. That's good. Anyway, So what would that person do, I hear you ask? Well, I can tell you more detail if you want, but I'm not going to say it all now because that would be too long. But what we'd really love to do, this person to do, is to nurture legacy in our church by supporting the amazing work that already happens. Our kids leaders on our team, our youth leader and our team are all fabulous, and we want this person to be able to support them in what they do, and also to increase people gathered to us through outreach to kids and families. We'd love this person to develop community through our church family, through care and discipleship. And we'd also really like them to lead operations and running of the church. So a lot of practical things that happen, like so much has to happen to let all of this happen, like you would not believe. So we need help. So this is going to be a full-time position. And just so you know, well, what does that mean for everyone else? Well, we've also taken time to think about what Paul and I actually do, because I think when you start a church in the beginning, it's just like, we're all in this together. Everyone does everything. You just put your shoulder to the wheel. But as you grow as an organization and as a church, you need to be more specific. So Paul is currently working 25 hours a week, and he's going to focus on which he already wants to and does: vision, leadership development, teaching and protecting culture. And I will continue at 30 hours a week and focus on church, family life, pastoral care, prayer, wellness and emotional health, oversight and leadership of some areas, and teaching as well. And Paul and I are both in the regional team for Vineyard Churches UK and Ireland, but specifically here in Ireland, and we provide some leadership there. So that takes up some of our time to working with the other churches. So this process, which I've just described in a few minutes, has taken a while, but it's been so helpful and it's brought us clarity. So what we'd love to do is advertise the new role and hopefully recruit someone over the summer, and then they could start with us in the autumn and be part of our church family. Like, we just believe we're seeing God moving across the nations. We're seeing signs of a generation turning back to God. And we want Carrick Vineyard to be in the best position to be part of what the Holy Spirit is doing. We want to lead people into lifelong discipleship with Jesus. And we believe this could be the beginning of even more, and we're so expectant. You know, today is Father's Day. And we have seen very difficult things in our communities over the last week or so. We need to see God's kingdom come. We need to see generations knowing the love of Jesus, and we want to position our church in the best way that we can do that possible. So that is what we wanted to share with you. And I would really love to invite Gareth to come up now. Gareth is on our board, and we're so grateful for our board. You know, they do all these things behind the scenes that none of you know about, but without them we couldn't have church. And he's going to share some of the practical stuff as well.
As Chantel said, you know, and the board really confirmed that you know, we believe in team ministry, and the sort of rule of thumb is that it would be one staff member per 100 people, and you think in terms of the size of our school, and as Chantel said, both Paul and her are part-time. So practically, and again, I suppose to say from the start, this is a personal thing with you, so you'll be glad to know that Steve and I are not going to come around as big heavies and kind of shake you down and see if we can get some pennies from you. What we're asking you to do just is to consider your own giving. So practically as a church, we would be, you know, we've got reserve, you know, so every charity and organization has to have money set aside for, you know, 3 months operating costs. So, so aside from those things, aside from the money that we have set aside for the building fund and whatever, we have a wee bit of surplus. But without that, we would be about £1,700 a month short. Now, practically, that means something like, that could be 63 people giving £25 a month, you know, so even just practically, you know, that it's people looking at that. And we sort of think that there are people, and I know myself, maybe in the last wee while, you've had a bit of a rise and stuff. You know, those of us in the public sector have been fighting for a number of years for that, have finally got our rises. So maybe for us, it's then considering, have I adjusted my giving in line with that. So it's kind of looking at that ourselves. Maybe you've been coming to church for a while and you're not giving at all. So it's maybe you considering and thinking, is it time for you to contribute in that way? Or maybe you're in a position where you want to contribute, you really catch the vision for what we're doing here, and you want to contribute a one-off sum to that as well. I mean, all of that would be really good. And the fab thing is that good old Gordon Brown, so those pensioners who lost all their tax relief and everything, all the things that Gordon Brown did, taking money off, one of the fab things he did was gift aid. He kind of adjusted gift aid, and practically then it means then if we are, get the figures here, get an income of, I think of that 1,700, if we're getting something like 1,300 in, then, and those people are taxpayers, then gift aid will make that up there as well. So next Sunday, there's going to be a pledge day, and you'll have your card and stuff there on the table. You might want to pledge beforehand. But just to repeat then, those particular things. So there's about 63 people in church giving. We, as the board, or even Paul and Chantel as pastors, don't know the exact amounts what people give. The only person is Lisa, and Lisa's tough. You'd never get those figures off her. So, so it's not, as I said at the start, this is not about, us looking at people individually. This is about people considering and stuff, their own position. So do that. So think yourself, are you somebody who is not giving at all, and you feel that you want to maybe pray about that and start to do that? Secondly, are you somebody who maybe your financial situation has improved in the last while and you feel that you can increase your giving? Or thirdly, are you somebody who can give a one-off? And to sort of then, a lot of times when we've been involved in these things in the past, you're in church, sometimes God just gives you the vision, but he's giving you an ask. He's saying, we want something from you. I want you just to contribute towards that. And what we believe is that for all of us, there is that ask. And part of that ask is to consider your giving in that particular way. And whatever way you respond, as we said at the start, it's between you and God. And we're just asking you to pray about that. And if you have any questions, Steve and myself are here from the board. Chantel's about as well, and we'll be happy to answer those. So, Chantel.
Thank you so much, Gareth. So, this is about legacy. This is about passing on from generation to generation. This is just creating capacity to do that. And we are excited about what God is going to do through this. And I just feel like this is just the beginning. This is just the start of something more. So thank you for listening to us. If you don't have to fill those cards in today, next Sunday's kind of like our Pledge Sunday, so make sure if you take them away and you're praying about it, bring them back. And we'd love to, together as a church, pledge next Sunday to give to him and to give to this vision from generation to generation.